budget directed across the board, freeze with some exceptions for individual assistance. We understand the federal grants. It's caused a lot of confusion around the country. Head Start providers among providers services to homeless veterans, Medicaid providers, states saying they're having trouble accessing the portal. Could you help us clear up some confusion, give some certainty to folks, and also is that uncertainty? How does that uncertainty service the president's voters?
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting.
So this is Karoline Leavitt. She's the new White House press secretary, and I gotta say, man, she's pretty good. She's pretty good. Now, the Biden administration, you had the black lady. Her name was Corinne Jean. It was, I don't know, some kind of French-like name, but I mean, she was terrible. Like you just got the vibe that you couldn't trust her. She was never direct. Like, I always felt like she was lying. And this chick right here, man, she just seems no nonsense. She's not scared to answer anything. She's straight to the point. And basically what she's saying right now is under Trump's program and this freeze, this freeze is not going to affect if you're on welfare, if you're on food stamps or anything like that. You're going to continue to get your money. But what Trump is doing is making sure that these taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely. And that's what we want. We don't want our money being wasted on stuff that it has no business. We have no business spending, money on.
Administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that. However, it is the responsibility of this president and this administration to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That is something that President Trump campaigned on. That's why he has launched DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, who is working alongside OMB. And that's why OMB sent out this memo last night, because the president signed an executive order directing OMB to do just this. And the reason for this is to ensure that every penny that is going out the door is not conflicting with the executive orders and actions that this president has taken. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam.
No more funding for DEI programs. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you do your research, the biggest benefactors of DEI were white women, followed by Indians, and then, black people, we were at the bottom as far as beneficiaries, as far as minority groups. So I don't think, a lot of people are making a big deal of the DEI. I don't think it's a big deal personally. Because these corporations, they honestly don't care what color you are. You can be black, you can be white, you can be green, alien, doesn't matter. What your job cares about is, can you do the job? Are you effective at the job? That's really all that matters. Can you do the job, and are you a good cultural fit, right? If it's an environment where everybody's suited and booted, dressed to the nines and all this and all that, if you got a whole bunch of piercings on your face, you're probably not a good culture fit, okay? So DEI is not holding you back. If you can do the job, that's all that these companies truly care about. Can you do the job? Do you fit in culturally?
That has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for...
Now, I am the furthest thing from a huge Donald Trump fan. But on the day of his inauguration, during his speech, there was one thing that he said that I am definitely rocking with. And he said, from this day forth, we will only be recognizing two genders. That's male and female. Okay? Under previous administrations, in my personal opinion, things got way out of hand with the identification. I identify as a dishwasher and all this and all that. It was just a bunch of BS. So I'm really not mad at this. Okay? They're getting rid of the they, their, all this and that. He and she, man. He and she.
Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being a good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
Thanks, Karoline.
Sure.
How long is this pause going to last, and how is the Trump administration recommending that organizations that rely on federal funding make payroll, pay their rent in the meantime?
It is a temporary pause, and the Office of Management and Budget is reviewing the federal funding that has been going out the door. Again, not for individual assistance, but for all of these other programs that I mentioned. I also spoke with the incoming director of OMB this morning, and he told me to tell all of you that the line to his office is open for other federal government agencies across the board, and if they feel that programs are necessary and in line with the president's agenda, then the Office of Management and Budget will review those policies. I think this is a very responsible measure. Again, the past 4 years, we've seen the Biden administration spend money like drunken sailors. It's a big reason we've had an inflation crisis in this country, and it's incumbent upon this administration to make sure, again, that every penny is being accounted for honestly.
Why impose this pause with so little notice? Why not give organizations more time to plan for the fact that they are about to lose, in some cases, really crucial federal funding, at least for a period of time?
There was notice. It was the executive order that the president signed. There's also a freeze on hiring, as you know, a regulatory freeze, and there's also a freeze on foreign aid. And this is, again, incredibly important to ensure that this administration is taking into consideration how hard the American people are working. And their tax dollars actually matter to this administration. You know, just during this pause, DOGE and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen and that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. DOGE and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So,
my God, $50 million on condoms in Gaza. Look, man, this chick right here, this is the best White House press secretary in very recent memory. Like, I can't be mad at, hey, Karoline, you got it going on, man. She's sharp. She not ducking no smoke. Like, she's just telling what it is. She's got a firm grasp on what's going on inside of the Trump administration. And she's just delivering the cold, hard facts. She don't care about how you feel about it or nothing. I'm rocking with her.
that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
So this doesn't
Jennifer.
affect Meals on Wheels or Head Start or disaster aid?
Again, it does not affect individual assistance that's going to Americans.
To follow up on Nancy, do you think there will be a list of who is affected and how much money is affected? How will these contractors and organizations know if they are actually having their funding frozen? And then secondly, if you're willing, can you just clarify, is the end goal of this to essentially challenge Congress or to prove that the president can withhold federal funding? In other words, is this an attempt to pick a fight to prove that he can do this?
No, absolutely not. As it says right here in the memo, which I have, and I'd encourage all of you to read it, it says the American people elected President Trump to be the President of the United States and gave him a mandate to increase the impact of every federal dollar. This memo requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements. The American people gave President Trump an overwhelming mandate on November 5th, and he's just trying to ensure that the tax money going out the door in this very bankrupt city actually aligns with the will and the priorities of the American people. Brian Glenn.
Yes.
So basically, at the end of the day, this DOGE, which stands for Department of Government Efficiency, which is kind of like a play off of Dogecoin, and it's overseen by Elon Musk. They're cutting spending everywhere that they feel doesn't make sense. Like one example, $50 million for condoms in Gaza. So the Biden administration got very carried away with the spending, and ultimately all that does is end up causing inflation here, right? We print money out of thin air, pump it into the society, and eventually you got to pay the piper on that, right? Anytime you increase the supply of something, its worth goes down, so prices will go up. If there's more dollars in circulation, then anything that you can buy for the most part is going to be more expensive because the dollar is not as rare as it was. And what gives anything value, right? Supply and demand. If you've got a whole bunch of supply, that supply is not going to buy as much as it did before. So Trump's got a tight leash on things. We'll see at some point where the money truly starts to go, but I can't be mad at any of this with what I'm hearing right now. I just can't be mad at it.
Welcome. You look great. You're doing a great job. You talked about transparency, and some of us in this room know how just transparent President Trump has been the last 5 or 6 years. I think you'll do the same. My question is, do you think this latest incident with the president of Colombia is indicative of the global, powerful respect they have for President Trump moving forward, not only to engage in economic diplomacy with these countries, but also world peace?
Absolutely. I'll echo the answer that the president gave on Air Force One last night when he was asked a very similar question by one of your colleagues in the media. This signifies peace through strength is back. And this president will not tolerate illegal immigration into America's interior. And he expects every nation on this planet, again, to cooperate with the repatriation of their citizens who illegally entered into our country and broke America's laws. Won't be tolerated. And as you saw, the Colombian government quickly folded and agreed to all of President Trump's demands. Flights are underway once again.
God, this chick is bad, man.